Good morning, this is Sarah, your healthy carnivore in the UK, on day, I believe, 96. Does that sound right to you? 96 on her last ever restart on her carnivore journey. For those of you that don't know me, I have been in the carnivore space for nearly 10 years. 10 years! And have basically just messed around the whole time. But on the way on this journey, I did pick up some health benefits. And even doing it imperfectly, I still had many of those health benefits. I'm going to read those out to you today. Also going to chat to you about how my son may be joining me on my journey now. My eldest son, we've taken his blood sugar readings. They are very slightly elevated. So he's decided he wants to start some keto and then probably moving over to carnivore once he's settled in. Also, there's going to be another episode today of carnivore conversation. I said this, she said that, and then we talked about this. So first of all, if you've tuned in for the very first time, have I lost any weight? Not really. Not really. I lost 6 pounds in my first week from inflammation. Then I had 8 weeks of static, no bathroom scale movement at all. And then I gave up some beef burgers that I was having because they had an ingredient in there that I didn't know was in there. Lost 4 pounds giving that up. And now my weight is static again and has been for about a month. So if you're here for an incredible, rapid fat loss story, this may not be the channel for you. But if you like health benefits, if you're here because you're intrigued by the word healthy carnivore, let's talk about it. I'm just going to read them off. Shall I talk about them? Maybe. I won't go on about each one too long. I will just make it simple for you. Varicose veins. I had those quite bad after my kids were born, and I don't have any varicose veins anywhere on my body now. Gastritis. I was diagnosed in 2002 with the camera down the throat thing going on. But ever since I've known about carnivore, I haven't had any attacks. Not one. I can control that. And even if I'm not doing fully 100% carnivore, I can still control it with my food. So I haven't had a single gastritis flare up since 2014. And that also includes IBS symptoms. I wasn't really diagnosed with IBS, but I did have a whole bunch of IBS symptoms going on as well, lower down in the gut. I have no more brain fog. I did have slight mild depression, kind of the blues, that lifted. I also had low energy, that lifted. I also had a whole bunch of hopelessness, which also lifted. Pre-diabetes came on a bit later in my journey, and I've now got that completely under control. I have no blood sugar dysregulation. I had my blood test done last August at the doctor's. He can't see any risk at all of any diabetes coming anywhere near me anytime soon. I'm going to get my blood work done again at some point in the spring, maybe when I get to about 6 months or so, because people are going to start to say, show me your blood work. They're also going to say, show me inside your colon, but I can't really do that. All I can do is tell you that it's working perfectly and trust that you trust me, okay? Plantar fasciitis, that was a new thing for me. That was earlier this year when I was off the carnivore train. I've now fixed it with 3 months eating carnivore. I've had some skin tags for quite a few years. I don't know when they started to bother me, but over the last 96 days, they've been gradually dying off. I had 15, including one big one. I've started to notice them going black and tips falling off, and I keep counting them up, and now I can't find 15. So there were some really titchy tiny ones that I think have just come off. I can see, when I study my skin really closely, I can see some tiny little like craters where they would have been. So I've only got about 7 skin tags now instead of 15. I did a full old, recce and couldn't. I've still got my horrible one. Really don't like this one here. Really got, it's, I'm going to have to give it a name soon. And a horrible name. I really want to put dental floss around it and get it gone sooner, but I just need to wait, because the glory of it falling off on its own is going to be beautiful. I had a dodgy mole on my back in the summer. Now the top layer of that's all fallen off and it's gone really light, and I can barely feel it with my hands. My husband said it looks loads better. So that's 3 months carnivore, I've done that. No joint pain anywhere in my body. I had the plantar fasciitis. No pain anywhere. I'm nearly 49. No medication for any pain. And I know lots of people my age that are in pain. I know people 10 years younger than me in pain. So that's quite cool. Itchy skin. I need to do a whole entire video on this at some point because every autumn at the end of summer, after allowing myself to get really tanned, I would have horrific, and I mean horrific, after a shower, the areas that I allowed myself to tan would be excruciatingly itchy. I can't even tell you how bad it would be. So bad, I couldn't do anything. Couldn't drive, couldn't cook, couldn't do anything. I had to just basically just cry for 45 minutes and then it would go. Well, this year I've had my ban on seed oils, and also another thing which is probably quite significant, a ban on skin products other than beef tallow. I've only been using beef tallow on my skin. Not so careful around my scalp. I am still using some commercial shampoos, which I probably should stop soon. But on my arms and legs and anywhere that might get itchy, I've only been using grass-fed beef tallow on those areas or nothing. And I have to say that it's either the internal seed oil ban that's done it, or it's the not using things. There was one summer where I used loads and loads of lotions and potions. People were saying, oh, why don't you try this body butter? Why don't you try that body butter? But it's not butter, is it? You look at the ingredients list on a Soap and Glory body butter. There's no butter in it. It's just a silly name to make it sound all luxurious. But in reality, it's got about 50 ingredients you can't pronounce. Probably containing seed oil, most likely. So when you're eating it on the inside and then applying it on the outside, if you're getting a bit of itchy skin, you think, maybe it's that. Okay, so this year, we're nearly at the end of October. Normally by now, I would have this severe skin itch problem, and I don't. Quite a big thing, that, okay? No carb sugar cravings, and the last time I had my triglycerides to HDL ratio checked, it was perfect. Doctor couldn't find anything wrong with me. My thyroid was in range, but I believe it could be even better in range. My, the number 3 one, TSH number 3, I think it's called. I'm not a doctor or a scientist. I'm just figuring things out. Apparently the lower that number, the better. And mine was right in the middle, so it could probably be lowered a little bit. The skin tags thing is very, very important because it's a sign of metabolic disease, it's a sign of your body not running properly. And I did have it in my head that if I could get these skin tags to fall off, then the weight might start falling off. So for me, seeing those dying off is a sign that my body is becoming more metabolically healthy. And when your body becomes more metabolically healthy, you can then hope at some point that the weight loss is going to come. So yeah, if you're here for a massive weight loss story, it's not yet. I'm starting to wonder whether it's even worth me doing my 100-day interview next week, because I don't really know what we're going to talk about. Because the only thing that's changed is I've just become more committed, which is a good thing. The skin tags and more commitment is the only real, I can't back it up with any weight loss. I think the people that have suggested that they interview me at day 100 are probably thinking I'm going to have some massive dramatic weight loss to talk about. I made the mistake a couple of weeks ago of going on a channel, I've told you this before, of this couple that did 90 days. And they were going on about how many dress sizes they'd... I'm still in the same clothes. I'm still in apart from one skirt that decided to become a little bit looser on me. I've lost about a half an inch on my waist. Whoopie-doo. Probably about half an inch to an inch on my lower tummy and a little bit more on my thighs, but nothing... I'm still in the same clothes I was in. Pretty much. I've got a load of clothes that are slightly too small in the bottom of one wardrobe and they haven't come out yet. So, have I lost any fat? I doubt it. I severely doubt it. Last week I was suffering from some viral detox thing and I did a 24-hour water fast. You may remember me talking about this. And when I got on the scales the next day, there was 2.5 pounds gone. It's back this morning. I missed it actually when it went. I was thinking, I really hope that 2.5 pounds comes back, because I was getting so attached to it. I almost gave it a name. Let's call it Daphne. Daphne, the weight that came off was just water weight. it's back on now, and I'm back on the plateau that I was in before last weekend. So yeah, as it turns out, some bodies really, really, really struggle to get going on weight loss. So if you're one of those, this channel I think is always going to aim towards people who are mostly interested in health benefits, of which there are so many. I did a video called 101 Reasons to Do Carnivore, and I've actually thought of other things to put on there now since then. So there's a lot of health benefits and lifestyle benefits to doing this, more than you can imagine. But sometimes for a lot of people, and it's not just women, and it's not just people of our age, sometimes the weight doesn't come off. There's that myth going around in the carnivore community. If you do carnivore, boom, rapid fat loss, a pound a day. I saw some other interview yesterday. I think it might have been on the Dave Mack channel, and it was the guy said, well, when I did it, I was losing a pound a day for ages, and the wife did it, and she was losing a pound a day for ages. And I was like, I think it's worth these channels mentioning. I think they should put a disclaimer at the bottom. This is not typical, because it can really upset you if you are not the one that's having that kind of weight loss. And before anyone asks, yes, I do need to lose weight. I'm 5'5" and I weigh 207 pounds. Obese. Need to lose weight. So before you say maybe you don't need to lose any weight, I do. And to that person that called me a liar last year because I said that I struggled to get weight off, here I am on day 96 with no significant fat loss to speak of. Obviously, I didn't do a scan at the beginning or now. So it's possible that I may have gained a little bit of muscle and lost a little bit of fat. But judging by the fact that on my waist measurement, I've only really lost half an inch, I think it's just inflammation, water loss. I cannot imagine that there's any fat loss there at all yet. But growth mindset means yet. You know, a closed mindset says, I haven't lost weight. A growth mindset says, I haven't lost weight yet. Okay, I know it's coming. I'm going to prove that someone that does carnivore for 10 whole years isn't fat, because that's how long I'm planning to do it for. So I cannot imagine getting to the end of that 10 years and nothing's come off. And if you are someone that the weight does fly off, please stick to it. I've never understood that. I mean, I should really just be empathetic to every single person in every single case, but I see people that the weight flies off them and then they keep stopping, and I'm thinking, you're getting all these health benefits, the weight is flying off you. Do you know how lucky you are? Just keep going. Oh my gosh. It's quite brave to set up a channel like this. It's quite brave. Originally, I was going to wait until I was perfect weight, but then I realized that the war on meat was just too tedious. Brilliant video on Ken Berry, recommend that. He's talking about Make America Healthy Again. And it's amazing how he had to skirt around the issue, because it's because of the way that that expression's been written. It's now created a whole lot of political issues. Should it be a political issue that we just want everyone to just be healthy? That's not political. That's just everyone should just now be healthy again. Silly. So we had to order some new glucose strips because my eldest son, who's 18, nearly 19, he has done keto before and he did get incredibly healthy doing it. But since he's been driving and all his friends have been driving, he's just been letting loose on his food. I don't blame him. Him and his friends, in between the age of 17 and 18, have all just let rip. Probably one too many trips to the drive-through, you know, but they're just coming of age. They just want to enjoy themselves. He will get away with it, and the reason I know he'll get away with it is because we're now going back onto keto so we can reset his health again. He's excited. He's starting on Sunday. He's got half term like I have, so he's got some time to stay at home and go through that initial tiredness before the brilliant stuff happens. He's excited. Daddy not quite as excited. Daddy is, and I've told him this to his face, and it's unlikely he'll see this channel, we're very much in love, But my husband is in denial at the moment that he needs to go back onto keto himself. But he's over the age of 18. He can do what he likes. He knows his wife is available for cooking duties as and when he decides he wants to do it with us. But my eldest son, has done keto before. He felt amazing, but it was before the whole driving thing and the big social life thing kicked off. Now that all his friends are kind of settled down now, some of them are at uni, some of them have gone out to do apprenticeships, gone out to work, and so that sort of period in their life has calmed right down a little bit. And so he's now saying, okay, maybe now's a good time to get his body. And then we've got Christmas coming up. He wants to keep going through Christmas. I know he'll do it because he knows Mummy's going to do it, and he knows that I'm going to provide him some great food to eat. So it's not going to be a big deal for him. He's a savoury boy anyway, like his dad. So loads of cheese. You know, he's not going to be going clean carnivore yet. That is maybe next March, because he does suffer with severe debilitating hay fever, and he has heard me talking a lot about how people that go very, very clean carnivore have managed to reduce their hay fever symptoms. So at the moment, it may change, plans can change, but at the moment he's thinking of doing keto right the way through to March, and then switching to carnivore in March, and to see if he can not have hay fever in June and July. He wants to do that. I'm all up for it. So that's his change. Maybe he'll let me interview him when he's carnivore. That would be good content. My brother's still doing it, but I don't think he's doing it as consistently as he could be. He's only lost about 2 stone, which is about 28 pounds, and he's been dabbling with it for a while, and I know he's had some cheat meals, but I believe it's helped him because he's been able to get back to work. He reckons he's got himself a girlfriend, so we'll see about that. Let's when she eventually becomes an actual vision, not just him talking about it, that'll be brilliant. Because his marriage broke down and everything broke down as a result of his depression. So if he's done it enough to get 2 stone off, then he's making progress. I don't know how he's going to deal with Christmas, but he's a grown man. He's 46. He can do what he likes. I mean, if he decides to take Christmas off, on his head be it, right? I cannot say anything or do anything that's going to sway that for him. He either is serious about his health or he isn't. I am very serious about my health. It is now everything. But luckily, as I said yesterday, at day 96, I don't want to go back. So here comes this, and so the last part of this video is now carnivore convo. I had a conversation with somebody yesterday about carnivore, and this is how it went. I was some of the kids in the school get snacks given to them by the school, and one of it's carrots. I said, I've never really liked carrots. I just said it flippantly, not really expecting to get into any kind of conversation with anyone. And someone said, well, it's not meat, is it? You don't like it because it's not meat. And I said, well, that is true, actually. It isn't meat, is it? And so then that kind of morphed into the conversation again. And I said, I won't be going back to a mixed diet now. I cannot visualize it. I won't be going back to a mixed diet. And he said, I still really don't think that's healthy for you. I said, well, I feel fantastic. She said, well, you look good on it. I thought, okay. So I don't think she's really seeing much weight loss. I think she's just recognizing the fact that I've got that glow, that energy, that I'm definitely very bouncy. And bouncy and silly with the children and breaking into song. That would be a lot more effort under the cloud of carbs, I'm sure. If I had brain fog every day, there's no way I'd be prancing around and pretending to be a train and just generally just, you know. But yeah, the carnivore convo ended up going back onto that again. She said, well, maybe you could convince me that the way you're eating, maybe you could present me with some information that convinces me of the way you're eating. I thought, I've had discussions with vegans for nearly 10 years, and they always want me to present them with information. I don't want to present you with any information. 1, I don't have to. You do you. 2, you're not going to read it. 3, you do you. You know, I don't get into any debates with vegans. I cannot be bothered. It always ends up the same way. The conversation is always the same thing. You say this, they say that, you say this, they say that. It's always exactly the same. And then they'll send you the picture, that picture of the difference between different animals, one with the teeth on it. I'm like, do you know how many vegans have shared me that picture in the last 10 years? I see it. I used to see it on a weekly basis. I don't get into these conversations. This was on like Facebook or Twitter or something. I don't get into these conversations. I cannot be bothered. You do you, I'll do me, and we're all just going to get on with our lives, okay? So I'm not going to present her with any information. What I actually said was, I don't need to convince you about this way of eating because I know you're not going to do it anyway, and that's fine. You know, you're over the age of 18. You've chosen what you want to do. I respect that. I said, but the only way that I can really prove to anyone and myself is just to keep doing it. And then when we get to next July, if I look really good and I'm not dead, then maybe there's something in it, right? So that's that. Today, I've got to do a bit of ducking and diving and hiding because there are 2 food events in school because it's the end of half term. 2 food events. We've got a, shall I come out and say the word? Are you triggered by saying the word? Apparently there's a big sale of deep fried birthday cake. We all know what that is. And also in the staff room, there is a sweet treat and alcohol-free bubbly event that I'm not going to because when I last checked there was no meats provided, so I won't be going to either of those 2 things. It won't be difficult because I'm on day 96 and I couldn't give a toss about there. It was quite funny the way the email was worded. Bless them, you know, these are people that just believe that all these things are okay in moderation. I believed it. You know, 11 years ago, I believed everything in moderation was the way to go. A little bit of everything, keep your fingers crossed, is the way to go. 11 years ago, I thought that. But it said, but don't worry, the bubbly is non-alcoholic, so we can all enjoy it guilt-free. And I thought, if I had some of that, I wouldn't be guilt-free. I would, because I don't believe in the word guilt. But I'm not going to have any. So, I don't want it. Alcohol or no alcohol, it's still a load of rubbish for my belly. I'm not sticking it in there. So that's a few events I need to avoid today. The last thing I wanted to say was, though, and it's back to the conversation I had with my son last night. Last night we were going through all the different things he could have for his breakfasts and things he could take to uni with him. Luckily, he is staying at home, so I can help him with his food to a certain extent. I dread to think the state he'd be in after 3 years of a residential. If his blood sugars are in the 6s now, 3 years of eating garbage, because the garbage is worse than was when I was there 30 years ago. So it really would be absolute garbage. His blood sugars would be, he'd probably be definitely very much pre-diabetic by the time he got home. So I'm so glad he's at home so I can help him eat. He's glad I'm paying for it as well. But one thing, I don't know how it came out of my mouth, but it was so powerful. I'm going to end on this, if I can think of it. Oh yes, we were discussing how his father, my husband, doesn't really want to go keto right now because he still wants to have the treats. I can relate to that, totally. It's not a judgment because I am guilty of it to hell in the past. But I said to my son with absolute deadpan face, not joking, didn't force it. I said, well, the thing is, I only eat for nutrition, not entertainment. And afterwards I went, that just came out. I didn't have to make that come out. It just came out. He was impressed. He was impressed. He was like, oh, I think you're actually going to do it. I think you're actually going to get to a year because I just came out with it. I just said it. I said, I don't eat. I only eat for nutrition now. I don't eat for any form of entertainment. That was good. That was good. And that's at day 96. Okay. So yes, first 30 to 60 days, willpower required. Beyond 60 days and then 90 days and 120 days, Hardly any willpower required. Hardly any. You're watching a video right now from someone who is a severe sugar addict, a severe carb addict, a comfort eater to the hilt. And it's all switched off. Switched off like a switch. Bang! Gone. Obviously, I have put myself in a position where I'm not seeing all this stuff all the time. I've had to change jobs, which isn't something that everyone can do. I appreciate that. Not everyone can go, right, okay, this job is not conducive to my health. I'm just going to quit and go and get another job. I do appreciate not everyone can do that. But because I'm just some crappy little teaching assistant, I can just change. If where I am isn't working for me, I can just go and get that kind of job anywhere else. And I've managed to find an environment where I don't see any cake on a daily basis. I'm miles away from the staff room, and the people I work with are not snacky types. Some people there are some people that work in schools that just bring in food, maybe just because they want to be liked. I don't know. I have met people before that bring in treats to make people like you. Do you know what I mean? I want people to like me for my personality, not because of my ability to make and bring in cake, right? I'm sure you can relate to that, right? You either like people or you don't. You shouldn't have to constantly gift people things to make them like you. Just saying. You're either somebody's cup of tea or you're not somebody's cup of tea, and that's it. So that's really, really positive. I think I had thought of other things, but I might leave that till tomorrow. Tomorrow I'm going to the butcher's to pick up my 4 pound of very, very freshly ground up beef. Very fatty. Tomorrow is also the day that I go absolutely oxalate free. The full commitment. So there will not be any, there may be an incident where I've gone and had a slice of salami or something like that may have a little tiny bit of pepper in it. That's going. So from tomorrow morning onwards, absolute. I'm giving up that tea I was having that had the tiny, tiny, tiny bit of oxalate in it. Not black tea, but this other one that I found that had a fraction of oxalate. That's going. I have heard lots of stories of people saying that when they give up oxalates in their entirety, they have a little bit of a weight loss from inflammation. That may happen. When's the fat going to come off? You tell me. I'd like to know. That person last year that called me a liar, when do they think? When do they think it's going to be? Should it be already? Should I have lost 20, 30, 40 pounds by now? What do they think? I should have asked them, actually. I wish I'd said, in your opinion, when should somebody start dropping actual fat on carnivore? I think it's when all these skin tags have gone and the consistency, and then all my healing's done. Probably be, it's got to be 4, 5, 6 months minimum. So I've now got to decide whether I want to do that interview next week. I will think about it. I will email my friend Christy and see if she still even wants to do it, because I really don't know what we're going to talk about. But anyway, I've done pretty much nearly 30 minutes now. I need to go in. Yep, it's time to go in. I hope you've enjoyed joining me in my really tidy car. And just going to finish up by saying it's day 96. Thank you so much for tuning in. I will see you tomorrow on day 97 on my absolute oxalate ban and my beefy weekend. See you later. Bye.